Chosen one, stop worrying. God is funding your life now. There is something sacred about this moment in your life. It is not ordinary. It is not accidental. And it is definitely not being ignored by the heavens. You've stepped into a divine phase where your path is no longer governed by the limitations of what you see, feel, or even understand. What's unfolding now is supernatural. What's rising now is not just an answer to your prayer. It is God's response to every sleepless night, every silent tear, every hidden fear you carried with courage. The moment has come where your burden is being lifted, your worries are being answered, and your life is being completely funded by God Himself. Not funded by a system, not funded by people, but funded by divine order, heavenly abundance, and unfailing grace. Watch this video until the end, because something powerful is being imparted to your spirit. And in the comments, write your warmest wishes, and write Amen, along with the number 777. This is the vibration of belief, an energetic activation of faith. When you write what your heart holds dearest, you open the door for the universe to echo it back louder, stronger, and in multiplied form. This is the kind of moment where dreams no longer wait. They manifest. It's the chapter where your wishes are aligned with a force greater than time, and time now bows to the power that lives inside you. Now, chosen one, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin, chosen one. You are being called out of worry and into trust. You are being pulled away from confusion and being rooted in clarity. Every doubt that once occupied your mind is dissolving because God is showing you a path you didn't create, but one that was always prepared for you. You never had to figure it all out, only to follow the subtle signs, the nudges that kept showing up when logic had no answers. God has now stepped into the center of your life with a clear agenda to make sure you never feel abandoned again, never feel under-resourced again, and never feel forgotten again. You are being carried now. You are being covered. You are being provided for in ways that defy every earthly protocol. There is no bank in this world that can match the reserves of heaven. No financial system that can rival the generosity of your Creator. God is not checking your credit score before pouring out blessings. God is not calculating interest before funding your future. There is no red tape in the Spirit. What He releases for you comes without limitation, without delay, and without apology. You are His priority, and your breakthrough has already been placed into motion, not based on your performance, but based on divine timing. That timing is now. That release is yours. And that provision is showing up in every place your heart silently cried for help. You didn't come this far to be left in worry. You didn't carry your faith just to be met with famine you've endured long enough. And now the season has changed in your favor. There's an invisible flow wrapping itself around your situation. What looked like struggle is being transformed into ease. What once was delayed is now speeding toward you. What you thought you needed to chase is actually being redirected to chase you. Resources are moving. People are being assigned. Doors are opening that no hand on earth could have turned. That is the power of divine funding. It bypasses every obstacle, reconfigures every closed path, and delivers the miraculous straight into your reality. God is funding this next phase of your life, not just with money, but with meaning, with favor, with acceleration, with a peace you can't explain, and a grace that keeps expanding. You'll find yourself in rooms you never knew you belonged in, welcomed by blessings you didn't know were looking for you, and supported by divine alignments that were reserved just for you. You'll see opportunities that don't match your resume, but perfectly reflect your anointing. This isn't about credentials. This is about covenant. And God made a covenant with you a long time ago, one that promised you would be taken care of beyond your understanding. The people who overlooked you will watch as God showcases you, not in pride, but in proof. Proof that when you lean on Him, He makes the impossible undeniable. Proof that when you are obedient, even in confusion, He rewards you in ways that shake the atmosphere. Every delay, every detour, every desert moment was a setup for this new flow. God was never late. He was layering your life with precision. Every piece is coming together now, and your spirit knows it. That's why you can feel the shift even before you see it. That's why your soul is calm, even though your eyes can't yet detect the full blessing. Because something bigger than vision is taking place. Something greater than logic is being formed. Provision is not just about receiving. It's about what you're about to become. You are becoming someone who no longer reacts to lack. Someone who no longer entertains fear. Someone who walks as if every step is funded by heaven. Because it is. You're not waiting on man anymore. You're not dependent on anyone's permission to thrive. You've been stamped with spiritual approval, and that seal cannot be removed. You are God's investment, and He never funds something halfway. He completes what He begins, and He's begun something extraordinary in you. The doors that were once locked have been notified. The gates that once resisted you are being instructed to open wide. The accounts that were once dry are being filled in silence. The timelines you thought you missed are circling back with speed. The right people are hearing your name in rooms you've never entered. The right help is being positioned without your effort. All of this because God said, enough. Enough struggling. Enough striving. Enough shrinking. You are stepping into funded identity, funded power, funded peace, funded joy, funded wisdom, funded vision. You are not only supported, you are selected. This is not the time to doubt. This is the time to expect. This is not the moment to second guess. This is the moment to walk as if the blessing has already occurred, because in the Spirit, it has. God doesn't fund anything for show. He funds it for transformation. And your life is about to become evidence of what happens when heaven opens its storehouse and says, now. The shift that's underway in your life can't be undone, paused, or rerouted. It is too intentional. It's too precise, and more than anything, it's too holy to be interfered with. You're not just in a moment. You're in a movement. A divine current is picking up speed around you. It's carrying you into realms that you used to dream about, but didn't know were actually designed for you. This is the result of divine funding, not just money appearing, but movement accelerating. Not just answers arriving, but atmospheres shifting. It's what happens when God chooses to intervene in a way that the world cannot understand, but you have always known was coming. There's a sacred boldness rising up within you, and it's not the result of hype. It's the residue of God's hand. You're beginning to realize that your survival was never random. It was proof. Proof that you were being preserved for something specific, funded for something massive, and groomed for something greater than you were allowed to know back then. Now, that greater is being revealed. Slowly at first, then suddenly. The no's that once hurt now make perfect sense. The setbacks that once felt like rejection were actually redirections, rerouting you toward a blueprint only heaven had access to. The bigger picture is coming into focus, and your name is all over it. God's funding isn't reactionary. He didn't just decide to bless you. He planned this before you knew the meaning of struggle. He wrote this provision into your story before you had the vocabulary for pain. Your life is not on a detour. It's on divine schedule. And what felt like silence was really preparation. God funds things when the time is right, and not a second earlier, because He knows what must be in place so that the release doesn't overwhelm you. It sustains you. And that's where you are now, on the edge of sustained breakthrough. Not a temporary glimpse of favor, not a brief season of blessing, but an era of consistency backed by divine wealth. You are now aligned with the pace of heaven. And when you are aligned with God's pace, nothing can rush you out of place or push you into panic. That's why the fear is loosening. That's why your mind is quieter now. That's why your heart, even after everything it's been through, is learning how to rest. It's because divine funding comes with divine calm. God doesn't just provide. He provides in a way that resets your entire experience of life. He's not just giving you what you asked for. He's reintroducing you to a reality where stress isn't the center of your story anymore. In this space, you're not striving, you're receiving. You're not begging, you're being positioned. You're not chasing provision, it's locating you. And when heaven funds something, there are no delays in delivery. It will find you in the wilderness. It will reach you in isolation. It will arrive even if no one else believes it should. Because it's not based on agreement. It's based on assignment. You've been assigned to overflow. You've been assigned to stability. You've been assigned to supernatural flow. God is placing support systems around you that don't rely on your effort. They rely on your alignment. And now that you're aligned, the rest is flowing in automatically. There are moments when you may still feel the residue of your past fears trying to whisper again. But they don't carry the same weight anymore, because now your spirit remembers something greater. It remembers what it feels like to be protected in chaos. It remembers the sound of provision even when everything around you screamed lack. It remembers how your soul still found the strength to believe when nothing made sense. And God remembers that too. That's why He's honoring you now, not just because of who you are, but because of who you became in the storm. You've been proven. You've been tested. And now, you are being trusted. When God funds your life, it means He's also trusting your stewardship, your intention, and your purity. Not perfection, purity. The purity to walk in what He gives you without forgetting who gave it. The purity to rise without becoming unreachable. The purity to influence without needing validation. That's why He's funding you now, because your spirit is finally ready to hold what your heart always carried in secret. The funds are flowing, not just to you, but through you. You're becoming a conduit, a channel for miracles, a vessel of provision. Your vision is being funded. Your health is being restored. Your influence is being expanded. And most of all, your future is being secured. Not by contracts, not by connections, but by covenant. God made a covenant with you that cannot be revoked. And the terms of that covenant include supernatural provision. You don't have to hustle your way into abundance. You only have to remain available for the instructions, because the instructions will guide you straight into every promise, every provision, every plan God has stored with your name etched into the divine vault. This is not just about money. This is about power. The power to finally build without fear, to dream without restriction, to walk without second-guessing, to bless others without emptying yourself. That's the kind of wealth God funds, the kind that multiplies, the kind that heals generations, the kind that shifts entire atmospheres. You've been approved for this next level, not by man, not by a system, but by the same God who watched you stand tall when you had every reason to collapse, the same God who watched you pray when it would have been easier to quit, the same God who held you together when everything was falling apart. You are no longer waiting for help. It's here. You are no longer asking for direction. It's unfolding. You are no longer hoping for favor. It's active. God is funding your purpose, funding your peace, funding your protection. And He's doing it in ways that will silence every doubt that tried to delay your destiny. There's no need to worry anymore, because what's being sent into your life now is not a response to fear. It's a reward for faith. You've crossed a divine threshold, and from this point forward, nothing will look the same again. Your reality is being recalibrated from survival mode into stability, from struggle into surplus. Not because you forced it, but because God funded it. And when God funds something, He also fortifies it. He builds it to endure. He supports it with foundations that cannot be shaken. This is what's happening for you now, quietly, powerfully, unshakably. There's no going back to the life you had before this shift, because your life has been placed into divine circulation. Your name is moving across heavenly networks. Your purpose has become active currency in the realm of the Spirit. And even though others may not understand it, you don't need them to. This next phase of your journey is not a group discussion. It's a sacred unfolding. You've walked through too much, held your faith too tight, and endured the unknown for too long to have your destiny debated. The funding has already been dispatched. The resources are already on their way. What's happening now is the silent transfer, the invisible upgrade, the unannounced arrival of abundance that doesn't make noise, but changes everything. The weight you used to carry is being lifted, not because you quit, but because you obeyed. You obeyed when it hurt. You obeyed when it didn't make sense. You obeyed when others mocked you for believing. And heaven remembers. God doesn't overlook obedience, He honors it. That's why He's funding your forward motion, because He knows you'll walk with humility, not arrogance, with reverence, not entitlement, with wisdom, not recklessness. You've matured into the kind of person who can handle what others might waste. And so, the blessings being prepared for you are not small, they are vast, strategic, purpose-filled. They will stretch across generations, and they will do so quietly, until suddenly everyone around you realizes that something divine has overtaken your life. This is not the season to explain yourself. It's the season to embody what's been promised. You're no longer explaining dreams to people who only speak doubt. You're no longer waiting for confirmation from voices that can't hear God. You're moving with quiet certainty. You're walking with spiritual assurance. You're carrying invisible evidence in your spirit that everything you've been shown, Everything you've felt, everything you've dreamed is now in its fulfillment phase. That's what God's funding does. It doesn't just finance the external. It empowers the internal. It strengthens the soul. It stabilizes your emotional core. It creates peace that cannot be faked. And this peace you're entering, it's sacred. It's not the kind of peace that needs a reason. It's not peace because everything's perfect. It's peace because you're perfectly aware of who's in control. It's the kind of peace that sits inside you even when the world is in chaos. It's the kind of peace that doesn't waver when the account is still catching up. Because your faith is no longer attached to balance sheets. It's tied to spiritual alignment. You know who funds you. You know who backs your name. You know whose hand is guiding your every move. That awareness alone removes the fear and replaces it with fire. The fire you carry now isn't for survival, it's for manifestation. You're not just believing for small outcomes anymore. You're holding space for miracles. You're creating room for the kind of provision that changes neighborhoods, rebuilds families, sparks movements. That's what's being unlocked in your spirit. You're not being funded for vanity. You're being funded for impact. And the impact has already begun. With every quiet act of faith, with every step you've taken in the dark, with every moment you stayed hopeful despite all odds, you were building momentum. And now, that momentum is unstoppable. The divine strategy is in motion. God is placing you exactly where you need to be, at exactly the right time, with exactly the right support. No more being early. No more being late. You're arriving on time to every divine appointment. You're entering rooms where your presence is already expected. You are walking into conversations that were already set up for you to win. The preparation has already been handled. All you have to do is show up with your spirit fully aware, your heart fully open, and your faith fully alive. The rest has been covered. God's already taken care of the details.